So I said Aquaman was going to be a blast, and yes, it turned out to be a blast. I really enjoyed Aquaman. Now I'm going to do a more in-depth review on this. So in case you haven't noticed, if you're new to my channel, I am reviewing all the DC films. So I will be getting around to Aquaman in an in-depth way eventually, but I just thought I'd throw some thoughts out there. I absolutely love this film, you know. I really feel like this movie was just from the get-go, you know, from the build-up. I said this in my anticipating Aquaman video. There really wasn't much pressure on this film, and in the way there was, you know, a lot of people were looking at it to save the DCEU, but I feel like James Wan wasn't doing that. I feel like he just thought, you know, people have made their mind up about DCEU, it's been mismanaged, whatever, let me just make a fun superhero movie and see how it turns out, put my all in, see how it turns out, and try and give people something new and fresh and different and what they wanted from DCEU. And it turned out that he did do that. Now I think one of the strongest things about Aquaman is Aquaman himself, Jason Mamoa. He's a terrific leading man. He is a cool bastard, he really is. Just for that charisma, that presence, and just for fitting a role so well, I feel like Jason Mamoa really delivered in this role. He just made Aquaman likeable, badass, intense, unique. And you know what's crazy to me about Aquaman is that it's the most superhero that people had no faith in, and it's turned out to be probably one of the most well received superhero movies in the DCEU. Now I feel like that is because you could build on this. You didn't, I said this in my video building up to Aquaman, you didn't have any expectations to meet, so you could really create Aquaman into his own character and just bring us a unique world we've never seen before. And they really did. You know, some of the fight scenes in this and the action scenes and the underwater scenes are, you know, some stuff I've never seen before. The underwater battle is incredible stuff. I've never seen anything like that, I really haven't. And I think James Wan's done really well here. You know, he's created spectacle, but he hasn't created out of control spectacle like maybe BVS had. You know, he's made it kind of a controlled, fun superhero action movie. You know, even though it's creating this big expansive world of Atlantis, it never gets above its station and it never just turns into a big bloated mess. The other performances in this were really great as well. I mean, I did laugh in moments at Nicole Kidman. I mean, really guys, it was Nicole Kidman in a fish suit destroying a house. Like literally, that's what happens. Nicole Kidman in a bloody fish suit destroys a house. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say. And I did laugh at Willem Defoe in this, because he looks like a donut. I don't know what's going on. Willem Defoe's got a very distinctive face, and when he's playing an underwater character, I don't know what it is about him, but he just reminds me like a weird hybrid between Nicolas Cage and Christopher Walken. I love the guy, I think he's a good actor, and he does well in this film, but he just looks odd. And I'm not trying to bully you, Defoe, because that's one of the reasons we love you, because you look odd. But he did look odd, but he was great to watch, you know. You really felt his passion for guiding Aquaman. He's the guy who's been guiding him ever since he was a kid, and trying to keep secrets from him while also being loyal to him. It's an interesting relationship. And Nicole Kidman, even though I just took the mick out of her, she does do well. She's very believable in the role. It's just, as I say, I mean, even seeing Nicole Kidman destroy a house as in a fish suit, I enjoyed watching it, and it was absurd. And you know, the absurd things in this, I enjoyed watching. They didn't take me out, and they didn't make me dislike it. I enjoyed the absurdities. I enjoyed something new on screen. It's nice to see Dolph Lundgren pop up. Dolph Lundgren, I tell you, things turn around from him. He's a long way from King of the Garden Cop 2, isn't he? Now he's doing Creed 2, and he's an Aquaman with a pretty good performance. But again, like I said with Nicole Kidman, it's ludicrous to see all these actors in these roles. It was ludicrous to see Willem Defoe, ludicrous to see Nicole Kidman, and ludicrous to see Dolph Lundgren, and I loved it. I loved how ludicrous it was, and what a good performance by Dolph Lundgren, showing that he is indeed a good actor, which I always knew, but great that he's actually getting some roles now. I thought Amber Heard done really well in this, you know, and she felt like a realistic character. She didn't just feel like Aquaman's kind of sidekick in this. She's leading the charge in a lot of this, and that's what I like about this film as well, is that Jason Mamoa as Aquaman, he is a big tough guy, he's strong, he's got these abilities, but he is an underdog in this movie, and I love that. I love how it's an underdog journey. It's a cliche used in the past, but it still really works. The underdog story it will always draw you in. Even if he's a big hulking guy, even if he's massive like Aquaman, even if he's got all these abilities, if you write that underdog journey well, it's just going to resonate, and it really does in Aquaman. You really believe that Aquaman is earnestly an underdog. But what I like about it is he's an underdog, but he also just wants to go off and do his own thing and solve his own crimes and beat people up. So he's an underdog in his life mission, but he's not an underdog outside of that. So he's kind of avoiding his life mission, and it's basically about him coming to terms with what his destiny is, and Amber Heard helps him do that, and it's a nice little relationship. And there is chemistry there between Amber Heard and Jason Mamoa. I will admit this movie does drag in moments. I really do think that. I think there are one too many fight scenes. I don't know which one I'd cut, or chase scenes. You know, there's one too many. You know, some of them are amazing. Most of them are amazing, but just certain things could be cut in this film. It's a little bit too long for what it is. It doesn't need to be as long as, you know, the other absurd DCEU movies, because it's not trying to do the same thing as them. You know, they could have cut this down to give it that fast pace, and it does drag a little bit, which is probably one of my only criticisms. There were a few things I didn't understand in this, like what's the rules with the Atlanteans and breathing outside of water. I really thought when I first heard about this that Aquaman was going to be, he can breathe out on land because he's half human. But then you learn that other Atlanteans can breathe outside of water, even though most of them go around in these suits so they can breathe. So what's the deal? And at one point Aquaman's brother sends people after Aquaman because presumably he can't breathe outside of water, and then later on he breathes outside of water. So what's going on with these rules of the Atlanteans breathing? Who can breathe outside of water? Who can't? You know, what's going on there? What are the rules there? I need to know, because one minute they need suits, one minute they don't. Can you breathe outside of water or not, lads? You need to tell me. I'll tell you what, if they had made Man of Steel, a Batman movie, Man of Steel 2, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Justice League, I'll tell you what, how much more of a well put together DC universe would we be sitting there talking about? I think one of the biggest problems with the DC universe is not even the movies in some respects, it's the order of the movies and the way the movies were positioned and the way the movies were written to be in this cobbled together mess. As I say, this is a really big step in the right direction. You're not sitting there scratching your head, you're not sitting there getting pissed off, you're not sitting there not liking anyone. You're having a good time. As I said, guys, I'm going to be doing a longer in-depth review of Aquaman when I eventually get around to it with the DC movie reviews that I'm doing. But thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think of Aquaman in the comments below. Did you hate it? Did you love it? And what did you think? Is this the movie that's going to set the DCEU in the right direction, or are you one of the people who didn't like it? There are a lot of critics who didn't like the film and fans. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Jim and I'm obsessed with movies, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, the primary focus is reviews, in-depth reviews of retro movies and superhero movies. So if you could be interested in that, please consider subscribing and we can discuss our movie obsession. I will see you in the next video.